and thanks for joining. My name is Jason. I am the VP of Customer Success here at Mindflash, and I'm joined today by Randir Vieira, who is our VP of Product and Engineering. We are going to go through some changes that will be coming to the product tomorrow afternoon, Pacific time that is, for those of you who are in a different area. Basically, this is all people, or the attendees of this webinar are people who are customers currently and admins, trainers, etc. So what I'm going to particularly focus on today is kind of what's changing and where those things are. There are some material changes that are coming to the product, but everything that was there previously is there now. So it all has a home. Some of the homes are new, not all of them are new, but we'll go through kind of what those changes are. There's also some new enhancements that are coming to the product, and I want to spend some time going over those so that everyone can get the most out of them and get the most out of their Mindflash experience. We're going to be retiring the concept of a draft course, so I'm going to talk about what that looks like and what you should think about in preparation for that. I'll go through the details of the release, kind of when we're going to release it, who's impacted, that sort of thing, and then at the end we'll answer questions. There are a lot of people on this webinar, and I'm happy to stick around and answer questions for as long as I can. I can't promise that we're going to answer everyone's questions because there are so many people that are attending. But that said, we'll try to power through those, and I'll stick around for as long as I can, and hopefully we'll get answers to everyone. Certainly, if you do have any questions, whether it's about the release or Mindflash or anything, a couple of resources for you. First of all, if you visit help.mindflash.com, that is your main resource for help documentation. We'll be updating that tomorrow afternoon along with the release, so it will be in line with all of the changes that we've made. So I would encourage you to visit that area. We'll have a help document in there most likely that highlights specifically the main changes that have come. So if you don't see any of this, or you don't stick around for the whole thing, or something's confusing, or you've forgotten or whatever, that's a great resource for you. We'll be sending the webinar, a video of the webinar shortly after the webinar completes, so you will have time to review that before the release tomorrow, or share it with your colleagues, which we would highly recommend you do. And then ultimately, feel free to reach out to us, whether it's by phone to your CSM or by email or whatever. We're happy to answer any questions you may have. The first thing I wanted to mention as we get going here is that the changes that we'll see today do not impact trainees. They only impact your admins, your trainers, your managers, your reporters, people with elevated privileges in the system. So nothing you see here is going to impact trainees. So you don't have to worry about notifying them or expect any upheaval from your user base. This is only admins, trainers, managers, etc. And then, as I mentioned, we'll power through questions at the end. There is a question box on the right-hand side of your GoToMeeting panel. Or GoToWebinar panel, so you can enter your questions there, and we'll get through as many of those as we can. All right, so let's get rolling here. So first of all, we've been in a beta. I understand I am not sharing my screen, so let me do that. Apologies for that. Okay. Now we're showing the screen. Okay, so apologies for that delay there. Okay, so first of all, this release that we will be pushing out tomorrow has been in early access program and beta program over the last several months. It's something that we've tested significantly with a bunch of our users. To be completely honest, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, and we're really excited about this. There are a couple things that we really focused on here. One is that we are moving away from Flash, as we've mentioned in many previous webinars, in an effort to be completely mobile friendly. So for the admin side, obviously the trainee side currently is mobile friendly. You can take that on any device, but we're moving toward getting the admin side completely mobile friendly. This is a big step in that direction for us. So that's one motivation here. And the other is to support people in doing bulk actions, as we refer to them. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but that basically allows you to say, search for a group of people that have some similar attribute, select those people and say enroll them in this course, or remind all these people, or whatever the case may be. We're trying to make it more scalable and easier for people to manage as they have these larger programs, or even they just do the same thing over and over again every day, trying to minimize the amount of time that people spend doing that. So that's what a lot of these efforts are aimed toward. And the early research is telling us that it's actually going pretty well. So we're going to go through some of those things today. Next, I just want to talk through kind of some of the high-level things that we've got going on here. I'll jump into a demo in just a second here and show you kind of hands-on, but at a high level, what we're talking about is we've added a left-hand navigation, which allows you to jump around quickly through the application. We'll talk through how that works. We have a concept of advanced filtering, which we did a webinar on probably 2 weeks ago. But I'll talk through how that works and how that works in conjunction with the next item on the list, which is bulk actions. We'll go through that in detail. We've brought real-time reports to series. What was previously only available in our advanced reports and on a bit of a delay is now available in real time on the series. There's also downloadable reports on the series, so in real time, so you can get those immediately exportable. We have customizable views that are what we refer to as sticky, so you can choose the columns that you see in your view as well as what page you want to see, and when you come back each time you will see those things. They will remain your default views and for you only, not all admins. As I mentioned, we're moving toward mobile friendly. Not 100% of the application is yet, but we are moving in that direction, and this release is a big step in that direction. And then lastly, we have a significantly more efficient workflow, and I'll talk through a couple of examples on how that might save you a ton of time as you're using the application. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into a demo here, and we are going to see how all of it works. So for those of you who are familiar with the application when you come in as an admin, this is the equivalent page here. This is a list of all the courses that are in the course, or excuse me, in the account. You'll notice on the left-hand side there is the left-hand navigation that I talked about. There's a home screen that has a few charts on it. There are your users, courses, live courses, series catalogs, and then reports. Reports are now embedded within the application itself and are not a standalone page. We'll look at those at the end here. But let's start on courses because that's what everyone's is familiar with. You'll see that we've got the new design. It's got listing of all the courses here. At the top, you can search for a course name. You'll see everything with the word sales in it comes back. You can search for a particular trainer, and it'll show you all the courses that the trainer is on. That's sort of your quick search there. We also have this advanced search, and these advanced filters and advanced search are things that you will see throughout the application now. And they're all context relevant. So, for example, when you're on the list of your courses, all of the attributes that you can filter on are pertinent to your actual courses. So whether it's the created date or courses that are in a specific series or whatever it is, you can search for all of that here. Now, I talked about the idea of a sticky filter, and that is something that if we just search for a very basic search, all the courses that have a trainer named Amy, you can see that the filter is applied up here. And as I go to different screens through the application, things change. I come back to courses, and you'll see that it's still filtered on courses that have a trainer named Amy. That will remain persistent, and that will also remain persistent if I log out. So if I go away, I come back in a week, and I log back in, this is the view I would see. So if you're a trainer on the system and you only want to view the courses that you are the trainer on, or you're the assigned trainer, you can just filter down your list and say that you want to see all the people or all the courses that are trainer Jason, and every time you log in, you'd only see your courses. So that's a big enhancement that we've made. When you are creating a new course, well, first of all, when I click on a course, this panel will open to the right-hand side. This is where you will do all of the setting up of a course. You can close it and go to a different course if you want to. When I am setting up a course or creating a course, I'm going to walk through that quickly here. So this is just a blank course. You'll notice we land on the Manage tab here. Manage is where you're going to do all of the setting up of your course content, the name, sort of the things that you're familiar with doing. You'll also notice that this course is active. I'll talk a little bit more about eliminating draft in the future. A little bit later on in the webinar, we'll go through kind of the details, but from now on, when you create a course, it will be in active state. And you can go ahead and edit and do all the things you would normally do. For example, course name, course description. One thing I wanted to point out here is an enhancement. I'll get into sort of where the enhancements are in a few minutes, and right now I'm just going to kind of go through where existing features are and where they've moved to or how they work. But one thing I did want to show while I'm on this is we do have a different uploader here for your trainer photo. As normal, you can browse your computer for the file. You'll notice that you can also drag it. So if your computer supports that, you can just drag it straight in. That's a new enhancement. The other thing you'll notice over here on the left-hand side is you can take a picture, and if you click on that, bad lighting, but if you click on that, it will actually turn on your camera, and you can take a picture right there if you wanted to put your own trainer photo in. So that's a new enhancement that we have coming in. Handouts have a similar uploader. You can drag and drop them in, but a lot of exciting things coming around that sort of stuff. Adding content to a new or existing course, you would do by clicking the Add and Arrange button. So this will open the arranger that you're familiar with, and you would go in here to add content. In order to add any of the content, you would click on the Insert button and then choose the type of content that you want. So for those of you that are familiar with our arranger already, this is the same thing. The only part that's different is that you would go in here necessarily to add your content. So always come into the arranger to add content. Same for adding a quiz or anything like that. If you're adding your second piece of content, and I'll show on a live course in a minute, but you add your second piece of content, you would again come into the arranger, choose the Insert button between the slides that you want to add the content, and then choose your file type. So that's how you would add all content to the system. The other thing that I wanted to note here is the survey. This is how you will add a survey. You will always add it within the arranger, and surveys can only be added to the end of the course, as you know. So if you come into a course that has a bunch of content and you can't find the survey button, it's always at the end of the course. So always go to the end of the course and you find the survey button there. So that's how you'll go ahead and add all of that sort of stuff. Course actions, as I close out of the arranger, course actions is this button up here at the top. If I click on that, you'll see a lot of the familiar functions: preview, copy the course, and archive. That's where you would do any of those functions as your course sort of progresses in its life cycle. Okay, so now I'm going to jump to a course that actually is being used and has content and all that sort of stuff. You'll notice here that on the left-hand side, I just clicked on the course name and it immediately opens that course. So for example, if I want to go to this course, I can click on that one and the right-hand panel here changes and remains. Now the other thing I can do here, which is pretty cool, is if I'm on the Settings tab, and then I go to a different course, I'm also on the Settings tab in that course. So if there's something that you have to do to update multiple courses at the same time, that should help with your workflow significantly. There's no more going, into a course 2 tabs deep and then going back to the main page and doing that sort of stuff. You can just jump from course to course. This morning, for example, I heard someone needed to update a trainer name. Very easy to do on a particular course. You come in here, you click Edit on the Manage tab. That will make all of these editable. I can change the name. I can save it. In this case, I didn't change it, but I just hit Cancel. And then if I need to do that on another course, I can just jump into that course. I'm already on the Manage tab. I hit Edit, and I can edit right there. So it should be very simple between courses and do sort of everyday maintenance of your courses. Okay. So we talked about editing sort of your basic information. Once the course is live and you have content in it, if you need to add content or change your content, you would click on the Add and Arrange button in the background there, and then it pops open the arranger, and I can manage all of that stuff here. So you can see I've got a PowerPoint, a quiz, and a survey. We talked about putting surveys in. Those are only available at the end. This course already has a survey, so it doesn't give me the option, but if it didn't have one, there would be insert buttons between all the other slides. Between the last two slides, there would be a survey button, and I could click on that. This, of course, you can also click on the actual slides down here below, and it'll just jump to whatever slide you're looking for. So that's where all of your editing of the actual content would be. The other thing I wanted to bring your attention to is the download content option, which is right here now. So we had that previously. If you need to export your content so you can edit it and then replace it or whatever, you can certainly do that with Mindflash. But that button did move, so I wanted to call your attention to that. It's just right below where the content slide is. Okay. So one of the settings here, I'll just run through that real quickly. We've done a little bit of consolidation onto this tab. You'll notice there's only 4 tabs across the top here. I believe there were 5 previously. So there's been a little bit of consolidation, but all of the settings are here as they were before, or at least all the settings are available as they were before. Some of them have moved a little bit. The other thing that I wanted to draw your attention to, which is sort of a big change for us, is this Trainees tab. And this gets us into sort of the new enhancements. I'll go over some things that have moved as well as the new enhancements at this point. So first of all, you'll notice that we have combined the Trainees and the reporting tab into sort of a live view of all of your trainees. We have a few things that I want to go through on this screen. The first one that I'll show you show here is again the filters. So we've got the basic filter where you could search for a name, for example, if you wanted to. This filter, where it says filters off here and has a little filter icon, this is where you can open more advanced filters. Now we've got a couple of things that are just quick options. If, for example, I only wanted to see the active trainees, the non-archived trainees, I can do that. That gives me a quick filtering right there, very easy to do. The other thing that I can do is I can go into the advanced filters, and again, I have context relevant, a significant number of filters here to get down to the exact list I want. But at this point, I'm just going to filter to the active trainees, so I just see the active people. And you can see here all the people that, that satisfy that, as well as some of the columns that are available here for me to view the content. So, certificates. Again, something that you could download before. They are currently available in this progress section by clicking on this little icon. So clicking this icon will download the certificate to your computer like you were able to do previously, but that's where that lives right now. So look there. The buttons across the top, you'll notice this button. This is an exciting new addition that has actually had some pretty rave reviews from the folks that have been using it. This allows you to export your data directly from the Trainees tab, and not only that, you can export the view or the filtered view that you're currently looking at. So you have the option to export everyone that's ever been enrolled in the course. That would be regardless of status or any filters you've applied. Or you can download just the filtered view that you have currently. So if I wanted to just see the people that are in an active status, I've got it filtered to that now, and I could just click the filtered trainees button and it would download that Excel file for me. The other thing it will show you is the columns that you have available, or the filtered view that you have available. You'll notice this little gear here on the far right hand side. That allows you to choose which columns are included in the view that you're looking at. So for example, quiz scores is an option, which is currently not on. It's got the X, so it's not on. If I click quiz scores, you'll notice that is added to the grid here. And now I have the scores for all the grids, or excuse me, the scores for all the quizzes that people took in the course. For those of you who like to go in and look at the quizzes that your trainees took, this is how you would do that. You would add that to your grid. You'll notice that it's a link now. I can click on that and it will show me the actual questions that the trainee took in the order they took them in, as well as the answer that they answered. So that's how you gain access to that. If there's multiple quizzes, they would just be listed here next to each other. You can add the overall course score. If you have multiple quizzes, you notice these here. These are custom fields that have been added. So all of that information can be added to your view here. So whatever you find relevant can be added, and you see that whenever you come back. Again, as with everything, I'm going to repeat several things many times today, but this is a sticky view. So the next time I come back into a course, or this particular course, or any other course for that matter, I'll see these, and I'll also see the filters applied. If I go to a different course, I would see the same setup. But just by clicking on another course here, I went straight to the Trainees tab, which we saw previously, but you'll also notice that my filters are on, and my columns that I added are there now. So if you've got a view that you like, that's great. You set it up. You never have to worry about it again. So I'm going to go back to that course now.
So Jason, just another thing to point out is whatever columns you have in your view, when you export it, those columns show up in the exportable file as well. So if there are certain things you care about or certain things you don't, if you customize your view, those are exactly the columns that you'll see in your exported file as well.
Continuing on with the buttons across the top here, you'll notice there's a reports button. If I click on that, we've got two options there. One is to go to the advanced reports, which are the same as they were before. So that would take you to the advanced reports for this particular course. So if I click on that, it takes me directly to the filtered advanced report for this course. So it gets me more information and is easily accessible from right there. So this is a view that all of you are familiar with the what previously opened a new tab in your browser is just embedded straight into the product right here. So very simple to just jump back and forth if you want to. The other button that you probably saw there is the survey report. This is where you go to download the surveys that people have answered if you have surveys in your course. One thing to note on the survey report is that button only appears if you have a survey in your course. So when you come in here and you click on that button and you only see advanced reports, that's because you don't have a survey in your report. We try to make these interfaces as sort of intelligent as possible, knowing you only see what you need and when you need it. So in that case, that button goes away, but that's the situation if you don't see that. The last button here is the trainee actions, and this ties back to this concept of bulk actions or doing things in bulk. I'll give you a quick example of how this might work. So if I pick the first two people here who are in a missed deadline status, for example, and then I click trainee actions, this is where I can go and do things to the couple of people that I've selected. For example, since they missed the deadline, I could set a new deadline for them, and that would do it for both people at the same time. If I wanted to do it for every trainee available, I could do that, and then you'll notice that I could change the deadline for the 4 people that are still able to take this course. I could remind the 2 people that are in an invited status that haven't finished it. I could reset all 8 people. I could drop the 4 people that are in that are available for that status, or I could update them, which means send them a new prompt them to take the slides of the course that they haven't taken, so they took it before the course was updated. So that's one example of bulk actions, which I'll show a little bit more of in a second here, but that's how you would use that directly on a course. So that should make it very quick to go in and do these various things that you were doing before that might have taken a little bit longer. Okay, so that is a quick run through of how courses work. So as you can see, all the functionality that was there before is still there. Some of it has moved a little bit in order to make it a little bit more efficient and to fit things in. And there's also some new features in there that hopefully people are going to get a lot of use out of and that we're particularly excited about people using. So courses. I'm going to jump over to users now and show you a little bit around the bulk actions and how this is particularly powerful, and just talk through some examples of how you might use this in the future. So again, as usual, if you search for name or email address, you can do that in just our simple search box right here. You'll also see the advanced filters over here to the right of it. If I click on that, you will see the advanced filters pop up here. And again, relevant to the object within Mindflash that I'm on. If I select people that are in a failed status, or I filter down to failed status, I click on that, this list changes. I think it was 85 or 100, something like that. It's only 36 now down here at the bottom. That's because these are people that have failed a course within the system. No doubt Randir is on this list. And then if I want to do a bulk action, I can click this box up here at the top. That will select everyone that's in this status. You can see here I've got 36 selected. And then a couple of buttons appeared here at the top. The invite button and the manage button showed up. So if I wanted to invite all 36 of these people that failed a course to a specific course, I can do that. It'll give me a list of all my courses or my series, and I can invite them. Now, using the list of failed people is probably not the best example here, but it could be people who completed a course or who passed a course or that were added to the system or invited to a course on a specific date or whatever the case may be. Whatever logic you want to use that filters this list, you can then invite people to courses all at the same time. So they don't necessarily have to be part of a group like they needed to before in order to do a bulk invite. And then the other button that appeared here is this manage button. And this is where it gets super powerful. So if I click on that, it shows me then a list of all the courses that these people are in. So if I wanted to, I could say, I'm going to do this action on every person that's failed a course in all of these courses, and then this Take Actions button appears. I click on that, and I could say every one of these people, I want to reset these people, and it would reset 185 courses that these people are in. Some of the people are in invited status, some of them are failed courses, whatever the case may be. That might be a little extreme in an example, but if I wanted to just reset all the ones that had failed, I can click on that. I could even expand it to see the people that are in that status, and then I can click reset, and that would reset those people in all those courses, and I do it basically with one click. So that's an action, an example of a bulk action that during our early access programs, I was hearing examples of people spending literally a couple of hours a week going into every course they have and resetting all the people that had failed in the previous week. That's something that now you can do in about 5 minutes. So that's one of the areas that when I talk about trying to get more efficient in the user interface and streamline how people do things in terms of their workflow, that's what we're really focused on. For some of you who are newer to Mindflash or who have smaller programs, on the surface that may not look like a massive feature for you, but project down the road when you've got 50 courses and you've got 2,000 users that are taking them, if you have to go in and reset all the people that have failed a course, that's a painful process going course by course by course and finding those people and resetting them. Here you can do it with about 4 clicks. So that's really what we're shooting for, and early feedback from people is that that's actually working pretty well. But as always, we invite your feedback on that and anything else that we do in Mindflash, and hopefully we can continue to improve that for you. In that regard, you'll notice down in the bottom left-hand corner here, there's a little product feedback box. It says product feedback with a question mark here. If you click on that, you can enter any relevant information for the feedback that you have on the product, and that goes directly to our product team. Most of the items that you're seeing here that were added or enhanced to the system have come from, or at least been influenced heavily by, the feedback from our customers, whether it's through interviews or this product feedback or information they've passed on to our service or our customer success team. So I highly encourage you to give us that feedback. It's not all stuff that gets incorporated right away. You can imagine that generates quite a list. But it is information that we listen to heavily, and you're likely to be someone that we do research with down the road if once we get to implementing that feature that you're interested in. So I would definitely encourage you to use that. The last thing I'll show you on the Users tab here is this Setup button. This is how you access the groups and the custom fields. So similar to how it worked previously, but I just want to call everyone's attention to that. That is available on the Users tab. The custom fields, I think, probably becomes a little bit more relevant now that you can add it to the Trainees tab within a course, and view that. So definitely something you want to use as much as possible if that's relevant to what you're doing, and you can easily access those here. Lastly, on the far right-hand side, again, the gear allows you to choose what columns are included within the list here. If I wanted to take a username off, for example, I can unclick that, disappears, and I won't see that anymore. So you'll see that in all of these grid interfaces. I would encourage you to use that and sort of streamline it as much as possible. Okay, live courses. I just want to run over that real quickly. You'll notice that we have differentiated between regular courses or online courses and live courses. So live courses are courses that you're tracking in-person training. So classroom training, for example, practical tests, that sort of thing. That is a feature that's available on our Pro tier, but you can see it's got a little more prominence now than it had previously. We will, as part of the release tomorrow, we'll be releasing sort of the full version of our live courses as it stands now. I'm going to jump over and show you one thing real quickly. Just want to make sure those of you who have access to live courses, you are able to do all of this. Again, I jumped over to a different account right here because the feature that I have that I want to show you is not available in production yet, but I wanted to show you the ability to mark people as complete. So you'll notice that the interface looks very similar to the online courses. You know, you've got your typical tabs here that have all of the settings and the, you know, managing, that sort of thing. The trainees tab, filterable as usual. If I wanted to set someone to complete, I can click that checkbox there, and then in the trainee actions is where I would set them as being complete. So that's what you want to look for if you're doing that. If I want to, I can set a score for the individual. So all that's available here in this grid. If you have any questions on that, let us know. I know that's because that's a feature that's on Pro. Not everyone is impacted by that, but I did want to show that since it is in a new spot here on the button. Okay, jumping back to where we were previously. Series, I want to run through that real quickly, and thanks for bearing with us. I know we've got a lot of stuff to cover here, but hopefully this is all exciting for you. So as I come in here to series, I can select my series as usual, and we've got the tabs that we're accustomed to, the overview, manage, and trainees. One thing that I wanted to call your attention to is on the series. This associations box down here in the bottom right-hand corner will show you all of the catalogs that this series is a part of, which is kind of exciting because then you know where this is being used. So that's something that I would definitely recommend that you take a look at. Obviously, there are links as well, so if you wanted to go directly to the catalog, for example, that that's featured in, you can just click on that and it'll take you there. But in terms of management and how you set this up, a couple of minor interface changes here. When you come into the Manage tab, you can click Edit, and this is where you would go to add courses or series to your, or excuse me, courses or live courses to your series. Click the Add Content button, and then that will give you a list of everything that's available to be added. And then those then appear here. This is a drag and drop interface, so I can drag, change the order. And then now the Save button becomes available because I've changed the order. We've got our normal functions of enforcing the sequence or requiring them to pass one course before proceeding. So all of that is now available on the Manage tab. Trainees tab, excuse me. Bad click on my part. There we go. Trainees tab is similar to what we saw in courses. While it is similar to what we saw in courses, it is not similar to what is currently in the product that most of you are using. And the major difference here is that this now has live data on it, which you previously could not get for series. Series, you always had to go to our advanced reports, which I should mention are still available in this button right here under the reports button. But now you can go in here and you can see the actual score they got, or how far they are in progress, or what their deadline is, or download their certificate. All that's available right here. Again, customizable view. So if you wanted to, you can add any of the items you want. And perhaps most importantly, all this data can be exported. So you no longer have to wait for advanced reports to be updated. You can come in here and see the score for the series that everyone got that completed it. You can filter it to only those that are active or whatever you want to do, and you can export that data directly. So hopefully that will save a lot of you a lot of time as you were using all of that. Reports is the last thing that I am going to show you here. The only major difference to this that I want to highlight is it's now part of the product. So when you're looking for advanced reports, come down here to the Reports tab. You would click on that, and then you'll get into all the reports that you were previously accustomed to. Course reports, training reports, series reports, etc. All still there. Again, exports, if you want to export everything across all your courses, all there, but now available in the Reports tab rather than in a standalone browser tab. Okay, so we talked through a lot of the workflow changes, that sort of thing. I want to just mention one last thing, and that's that all of these things are preserved. So we go back to users, and it's still filtered to the people that have failed. The people that are courses we had just free, but if we had a filter applied there, that would remain as well. Something that hopefully will streamline as everyone's going through their courses. Okay, so that is it for the demo at the moment. What I wanted to talk through next is the retiring of draft courses and what that means. So when we look at the product and how we build the product, there's a couple of things that we're always focused on. One is we try to keep the product as lean as possible because we know a lot of you have selected Mindflash because it's easy to use. Keeping the product easy to use as we continue to add features is a challenge, as you might imagine. A lot of you are software companies, and I'm sure you can relate to that. But as our feature set grows, it becomes increasingly difficult to organize and manage all the features. So one of the things that we continually do is review previous features that we've had and whether or not they're being used or how effective they are or how times have changed and how that's impacted it. One of those features is the draft courses. When we launched Mindflash, we actually did not allow you to change any of the content or edit the course once it became active. So that created a need for draft courses. And that was where you did all of the editing of your course, and then when you hit go, you were locked in on that content and those quiz settings and all that sort of stuff. As we relaxed those requirements based on requests from customers, draft courses have been increasingly less useful. And as a result, and in an effort to continue to streamline how everything works, we will be retiring draft courses as of this release on Wednesday. And for most of you, that's not going to be a big deal going forward. There's really not much of a use for draft courses now because you can set up your courses as active and just invite people when you're ready to take them. What that does mean, though, is we have a bit of a transition that we need to do, and I'm sure most of you have seen the little pop-up messages that have come in the product over the last month or so, warning you of the coming change and what you need to do to change it. But some of you probably still have draft courses. And what I'd like to do is talk through what you should do prior to the release in order to prepare for that. With the elimination of draft courses, we have to make that transition. And so the easiest thing to do for you in terms of how you're going to manage this is to look at all of your draft courses and drop all the trainees that have been added to those courses. So sometimes people add trainees prior to the launch of a course, but in order to make this transition, your best bet is to just drop those people now and then activate the course. So as long as you drop your trainees prior to activating the course, no one's going to be notified that the course is active, and when you can then continue working on your course, and when it's ready, you would just add your trainees. That makes the transition easiest for you, and there's really no interruption when you log in tomorrow after re-release. So that's what I highly recommend that you do that, just to streamline your workflow and your day. If you still have draft courses when we release, any draft course will move to an archived status. So we'll just automatically move it to an archived status. When you're in a course, you can move the course from archived status back to active by clicking on the reactivate button in the course actions. So I'll show you where that is real quickly here, just so that everyone knows. And let me find an archived. Okay, so here's an archived course. Up here, the button is course actions, and I can just hit reactivate. And that will move the course back to an active status. So again, if you have any courses that are in draft status, when we release tomorrow the enhancements, they will be automatically archived. And all you have to do is go back in and hit reactivate. It will move it to an active course, and you can continue editing it or doing whatever you want. Note that if you have trainees in a draft course when we release, the course will still move to an archive status, and the trainees remain in the course. When you select reactivate, they will not receive an email telling you that they've been invited. They will still be in the active course, but they will not receive an email. If you move the course back to active with trainees in it, you'll need to go in and immediately drop the trainees that are in the course. That would mean that they don't have access, they will not be notified of that drop, and you can continue editing your course. If you just leave them in there, they will have access to the course. So it's something that you want to go in and click reactivate, go to the trainees tab, drop all the trainees if you don't want them to have access, and no one will know that they were ever in that course. It's really important that you immediately drop the trainees after reactivating the course, because they will have access to an unfinished course. So that's the one thing that's kind of tricky. We have a help document in the Help Center that walks you through all the scenarios and what you need to do, or what we recommend you do. And then when you're ready with the course, you can just re-add those trainees and they'll be invited like normal. So again, first prize on this is just go in today and drop all the trainees and hit activate on the course. Drop them first, then hit activate on the course, and it's no big deal. If you leave them in there tomorrow, then you'll have to go through the reactivate and drop procedure that I just mentioned. So if you do have any questions on that, again, there's a Help Center document that's actually at the very top of our Help Center that walks you through that, and we're available if you just want some reassurance that you're doing it the right way. We're happy to walk you through that as well. Okay, so that is the extent of what we have here. What I'm going to do now is turn it over to questions, which Randir is going to help me with here. And we will stick around and answer questions for as long as we need to today. So, for our first question here, will the new interface allow download of quizzes as well as other content? The download button that we saw that was on the course will only download the content and the audio that's in the course. It will not download the download the quizzes themselves. There is no means for exporting the quizzes at the moment, something that we are aware of and may deal with in the future, but the new interface will not allow for the download of quizzes. I would like to be able to completely delete the users from Mindflash, not just archive them. How can I accomplish that? That's not a feature that we have at the moment. At the moment, the most you can do is archive them. With the filtering, the advanced filtering that we have available, there's a few things that you can do to get them out of your view permanently. The main one is if you just move them to an archive status and then set up your filters to only show you active users, that would eliminate those people from your view until you change that filter, so effectively forever. So they would just disappear. Same with any of the exports that you run from Mindflash. It would keep them out of there if you export the filtered view. So, I definitely understand that there are times when people want to delete people, but effectively the same concept there, and we'll get them out of your view. So hopefully that will work until or if we add that feature. Question of are the fields sticky once you add it? I probably mentioned that 50 times, so I assume that was early on in the webinar that was asked. Everything is sticky, so you can go back and view that. And the other thing I should add actually on the sticky is it's per user, not per account. So if Randir has a set of filters he likes to look at when he's in the product, and I have my own set that I like to look at, assuming we have different user accounts, I would only see the ones that I set up. Randir would see the ones that he sets up. Have you added an essay segment to the quiz functionality? We have not added that. There are no immediate plans to add essay questions to quizzes. The concept behind our quizzes is that they are all gradable by the system, and all the question types obviously reflect that you see in there. We are definitely focused on one of the next projects that we will undertake with Mindflash is continuing through our progression of moving things out of Flash and into HTML. And one of those items is the quiz module, and that's on our list, and we will be addressing various things in there. But at this point, there's no intention to add actual quiz or essay function. One workaround that some people use is they use the survey in order to do that. There is an open-ended question at the end of the survey, or you can add open-ended questions to the survey. So something you may think about if that is a requirement for your program. Are all of these options available in the advanced tier or only in the pro tier? We saw a variety of things during this demo. The account that I was demoing on is a pro account. The user interface that's showing in terms of the courses and series and all that stuff in the grids, all of that is going to be on all of our tiers. So when you guys log in after our release tomorrow afternoon, that will display for you on, regardless of what tier you're on, whether it's basic or pro or one of our enterprise customers. The various features that are available on those tiers will remain as they are now. So for example, if you are on our pro tier and you have 10 custom fields, that will remain the case. If you're on our advanced tier and you have 1 custom field, that will remain the case. If you do want to run through of what the features are available on your tier, if you go to our pricing page, it's got a list of all the features that appear on each of the tiers. So I'd encourage you to check that out. But the actual features will remain on where they are. Any updates to how quizzes work? As I mentioned, that's kind of our next area to tackle, or one of our next areas to tackle. So with this release, there are not any updates to how those work, but we will be tackling that in the future. With the new interface as an admin, is it possible to mark a trainee complete in a course? It is not possible in an online course. That's sort of for audit reasons. In order to keep the integrity there, they actually have to complete what's in the course itself. Obviously, if you're doing live courses and there's some sort of classroom training or practical training, that is something that you would mark people as complete. That is a feature that is available on our pro tier. But for those, you would actually go in and you can mark them as complete and even set a score if you'd like to do that. Can you look at trainees by department? So the answer to that is yes, and there's a couple of ways you could do that. That data obviously has to be in Mindflash in order to do that. There are 2 approaches that you could take to that. One is to use a custom field that's department and put in department. The other is to use groups and then put each of the people in a department into a specific group. Both of those are filterable and accessible in all of the filters on trainees. So there are use cases for both of those instances, but both of those are possible, and that's how you would do that within Mindflash. When will you have spell check? This is particularly something that ties to the quizzes and the emails and things like that. It's something that we're looking at for an enhancement in the future, but would not be added until we tackle those sections of the product in the not so distant future. So it's something we're definitely looking at. Can courses be scheduled in advance? Mindflash sends an invite to a trainee on a particular day determined by the trainer. Not at the moment. Again, something that is on our roadmap. I don't have a release date for that, but actually, one other thing I should mention on this whole project is this has obviously been a significant overhaul for us and it's taken quite some time. We, during that time period, have not released a bunch of new features in an effort to get this out as quickly as possible. We're happy to be releasing this, and it's sort of a culmination of a big project for us, or a phase of a big project for us, so we're excited about that. But the other thing we're particularly excited about is you will start to see new features dropping into the product in the not so distant future. So a lot of things on our roadmap that we're excited to do, we've talked to a lot of customers on. And you'll be starting to see that stuff drop in the next few months as we complete those projects. But certainly keep your feature requests pouring in, and we will put that on the list and prioritize as we always do. Are there plans to add an option that would allow to create a report by company to see courses by user without creating a group for that company?
You could use a custom field.
Yeah, custom field would be the only way to do that. The other thing I was thinking, I guess, can you search by email domain? No. So yeah, you would need to put them into either a group or use a custom field in order to do that. That's an interesting, I'm assuming those people are registering on their own, which is why they're not groupable. So, okay, yeah, so that's an interesting thought and something that we can look at in the not so distant future. You know, as I read this next question about when we're going to release, I realize there's probably one slide that I skipped, which is what's the plan for the release and how does it work? Good question. Okay, so first of all, how do I get it? You will get it tomorrow afternoon Pacific time. That's our release is scheduled. One thing I should note is there will be no interruption in for the release. It should be seamless for you, so there's no planned downtime or anything like that. It'll just update and you'll get a refresh of the application and you'll see everything new. So if you're in it at the time, it's not going to bother you. Certainly no interruption to trainees, so just want to reiterate that. It's only on the admin side, so no big deal. When will I get it? We're scheduled to release Pacific time tomorrow afternoon. So we're not sure exactly what time that'll hit, but it'll be in the afternoon Pacific time tomorrow. Is there anything I need to do? So the only thing that you really need to do is the draft courses functions or activities that I mentioned. I would highly recommend you do that. That will make your life easier and certainly, you know, eliminate any confusion. So if you want to hit that up between now and tomorrow afternoon, that would be fantastic. Will everyone get it? Yes, this is a release that will push to everyone. We've had limited early access available for the last couple months, which I'm sure all of you have been notified of and you know, have certainly had the option to join. But at this point, we will be pushing live for everyone, and this will be across the board for everyone. And then lastly, what happens to trainees, mentioned it, but nothing, I know that's always a huge concern, so that's why I say it 15 times, but there will be no impact on trainees on this one, so don't worry about that. When creating quiz questions not related to labeling picture, it would be great if you could add a picture to go along with the question. Yeah, so this is something that we often think of in the context of like a multiple choice based on an image, or for that matter a video or something like that. Definitely something that we're tooling around with and is on our roadmap. I'm not sure when that'll hit or what phase of our revamp of quizzes that'll be in, but that's definitely something that we have on our radar screen and are well aware of. Will current enrollees be affected if they're editing an active training? How will admins know who has reviewed the new content versus old? So when you edit an active training, there's two things that occur there. If the trainee has not reached the content that is being edited. Let's just say, for a basic example, if you have a quiz that's at the end of your course and the trainee's on slide 4 of 10, they obviously haven't gotten to the quiz, so they've never seen that, and they would just view the new version when they go through and take it. If someone has passed the piece of content that you're editing, you can prompt them to go back, and there's a button that allows you to tell them that they need to go back and view that content. It would set them back to the content that they haven't viewed yet. So maybe that's a new quiz, maybe it's a new video that you've added or something like that. It would push them back. Otherwise, you can just allow them to complete the course. Or if they've already completed the course, it would just maintain their record of, you know, what they completed when they completed it. It would not force them to go backwards. So you kind of have both options there. That you could do. Can we pause access to a program once it is launched? There's no way to really pause the access other than archiving the course. The reason I hesitate on that, though, is because they would get a notification that the course has been archived because they effectively don't have access to it. So the reason we send that notification is because if someone is coming back to complete their course and all of a sudden they don't have access, they start asking why. So that's why that prompt is there. Most edits that I see, in fact, the vast majority of edits I see can easily be done on the fly. We have a replace function for PowerPoints that allows you to just swap out the PowerPoint so that you don't have to delete and then add a new one. It will just, swap out the new slides for the old ones. I would recommend you use that. That is the most seamless way to do this and will be the least interruption on your trainees. But yeah, for the most part, any of these edits can just happen pretty seamlessly. If you do have major edits that need to happen to a course, like if you've got like the 2017 version of something and it's a major overhaul of the course, I would recommend you just create a new course. And you have the 2016 version and the 2017 version, and on the, when you need to swap it out, you just start inviting people or listing the course for the 2017. That's usually the best method if you have wholesale changes that need to happen. Can we print test questions and answers? Not at this time. It's not a function that we have available. You can go in and see the actual quiz that the trainee took. As we saw, you go in and click on the quiz score and it'll pop open a window that shows you their quiz, so you could review it online with them, but there's no way to actually print it out. Can we save the filtered view of the trainee list for later? So there's no way to save a view, save multiple views. So if you had one that just showed you a particular group and then you want to have it available to drop down or something like that, so you just toggle between it, that's not a feature available. I know that was something that people requested during our beta access, so it's on our list for the future, but at this time you can't do that. It is pretty easy just to reset the filters and set them up to whatever you need them to be. So if you need to change views, you can easily kind of toggle between it that way. But at this point, there's no way to save those views. Can we import live training tracking from Excel into Mindflash? There's not a way to do that yet. Again, something that is roadmapped, and we realize that that's something that probably needs to be added in the future. So look for that in the future, but at the moment, that is not possible. Sorry, I'm just reading through questions here real quickly. Great webinar, love the changes. With the exception of the live training, are all the changes going to be on the advanced plan? So as I mentioned, everything is going to be on the advanced plan in terms of features that are there currently. The interfaces will change on all of our plans according to what we saw, and whatever features you had access to previously will continue to be accessible on your plan. But in the specific case of live training, that is a feature that is only available on the Pro tier and would remain on the Pro tier. Have any features been added to inform the administrator when an invitation email delivery has failed? No, they have not been added in that regard. We're looking at options for that for the future, but there's no enhancement there at the moment. Is there a way to copy an entire quiz question and add to another course? Currently, we do all the elements. We have copied and pasted one at a time. Yeah, so there's no way to say, quiz 2 in this course, just copy that quiz to a new course. There is a workaround, though, that I can walk you through real quickly that people use pretty effectively. The way to do this is if you have a quiz or a survey for that matter that you wanted to be in a new course, if you create a copy of that course and then you go into the copy and eliminate any of the content or anything that you don't need in the new course that you're creating, it would leave the quiz that you want in that course, and then you can just go in and add content and adjust the order of it however you want it to be done. So that's the quick workaround that people have used. It's definitely a feature enhancement that we heard from people and something that we're thinking about how we might do in the future, but in the meantime, that's probably a good way to tackle that. I think we're hitting time here in terms of what we had scheduled, but I'll stick around for a while and answer questions. So if you do have questions, please feel free to send those in, and we'll try to get all of those answered. With the release of the reports dashboard, will the reports dashboard be fixed so that we are showing accurate data? As of right now, the reports dashboard information is internally inconsistent and wrong. So the advanced reports are something that we are looking at very closely and trying to get all of that to tie in properly. There have been some issues in recent months that we are trying to address, and we'll continue to address those as we go forward. The one thing that I would like to thank all of you for is your patience on the advanced reports. That's been a struggle for us, as we would readily acknowledge. It is not something that is a quick fix, unfortunately, for a variety of reasons. So we're continuing to battle a couple of minor issues in there, or at least minor in terms of the number of people that they impact. So for the vast majority of people, there's no impact in terms of inaccuracy in the advanced reports. For the few of you who are still impacted, it is something we'll continue to look at, and we are reviewing our reports situation quite closely at the moment. And hopefully in the not so distant future, we'll have a very clear path forward on how we're going to handle this. So again, thanks for all of your patience on that. We know that that is disruptive. But we are very aware of it. It is something that we are actively working to address, and we will have a solution for you at some point in the future here. Will the advanced filter allow us to sort by complete date? For example, all those from August last year that need to retake this training this year. Yes, they will. So that is one of the columns that can be added to a course. So when you go into an actual course on the Trainees tab, you click the little gear to the far right, and you can add that. So you could sort based on that. One thing I didn't note actually is that all of the columns are sortable, so you can sort based on a date. The other thing is that in the advanced filters, there is a completed date range. So you could say, give me all the people that completed between August 1st and August 31st of 2015. And it would filter your list of people in that course to that date range. So, for your specific question, absolutely, that's what it does, and that's available in the advanced filters. Do you still have a quiz function to create quizzes within Mindflash? Yeah, absolutely. That's still in there. That is part of our manage and arrange the course on the Manage tab. When you go into Arrange the course, there's that orange button in there. It would open the course arranger. As we had previously, it's the same course arranger, and you would go in and add quizzes on the actual course itself. And you basically just pick the insert button between the slides that you want to add that content, and you choose quiz. And actually, I will jump into that real quickly just to make sure that everyone is aware. Everyone's aware of how that all works. So if I'm on a course, my GoToMeeting is misbehaving. Bear with me 1 second here. Okay. When I am in a course, if I click on the Manage tab here, you see the Add and Arrange. Click on Add and Arrange. That will open the arranger, as we call it, showing me the entire course. And you'll see these insert buttons between each of the slides, or if there was no content, there would just be one insert button. You click on that, and it will give me my options of what I can add. The first one being quiz. So you would just go in here and add the quiz directly that way. Okay. So additional questions here. Sorry, my GoToMeeting got all crazy on me. Okay. Is there a way in which you can easily see the last active date for a user to know which ones can be archived? There is not a way to see the last time they logged in, for example. I think that's where the question is going. On an individual course, you can go in and see the last activity that they've had on the course. That's, again, added through the gear on the far right-hand side. So if you wanted to go and see for a specific course, you could go in and do it that way. I have a recurring problem where archive students will show in reports even if the filter is active students only. Is there a fix for this? That should not be occurring, and I'm not aware of an open defect around that. So if you do have this issue, if you want to submit a ticket to help@mindflash.com, we'd be more than happy to take a look at that and see what's going on. I will note that now with the exportable reports from the Trainees tab, you can also export from there. I'm assuming this is an advanced report question, but if that's, regardless of where it's occurring, it's something that we'll take a look at and get fixed for you. So if you want to submit a ticket to help@mindflash.com, we'd be happy to do that for you. You mentioned that under quiz score, you can see the trainees quiz and which questions they missed. Can you also run a report on the quiz questions that most trainees got wrong? Yeah, absolutely. So let me see if I can find a good example of that right now. Let's see here. So on this course, if I go to the advanced report, so this is a report that's available on the advanced reports. So let me load that up here and see if we can get what we need. So this, the report that I went to now is filtered down to this specific course. You can see here in the quiz details section that there's a quiz listed here. This is the only quiz that's in this course. And if I click on that quiz, there would be multiple quizzes listed here if there are multiple quizzes in the course. If I click on that quiz, it pops open this window right here, which is a view of every question in that course. So in this, in that quiz. In this quiz, there's only one question, but this will show you what percentage of the people got it right and what percentage got it wrong. So if you have 20 questions, they'd all be listed here, and you'll see some questions people get 100% of them get it right, some of them 50% of them get it right. This is kind of one of the hidden gem reports, I think, within the system. This is very useful when you launch a new course. When you see a question that has like a 50% completion rate or a 20% correct rate, it's probably something that you want to address. Typically, the most common reason that we see for that is that people just selected the wrong answer when they were creating the question. That is very common, so I would encourage you to look at this, this report whenever possible. The other is that maybe your content just doesn't back up the questions that you have, or it doesn't inform them enough to answer the question properly. So again, something you want to address. But this is a great report, and I would definitely recommend that you hop in there and take a look at that when you get a chance. Let's see here. Okay. Sorry if I missed this, but is there a way with an online course to mark that a trainee completed it? No, there's not a way to do that for an online course. Again, that kind of comes back to the integrity of the course data. Something that we may do in the future, but at this point there are no plans to add that soon. I'm just reading a question here real quickly. Okay, we need to run a single report on a monthly basis where we can see just the number of trainees that were invited to each course for that month. At the moment, we can only see the top 5 course numbers or download each course report, which is quite time-consuming. Is there a way of doing this, or would I need to request a report to be created for us? So you can definitely run this on individual courses, which it sounds like you've discovered. But there's no way to run it, I don't think, for across all the courses. So why don't I take a note? I've got your name here. I'll take a note of this, and we'll reach out and kind of get the details of what you're looking for. I just want to make sure that we have exactly what you're looking for before we answer that for you, so I don't lead you in the wrong direction. So we'll reach out shortly in the next few days and see if we can get you going. Can course invitations be removed automatically when trainees are archived? When a trainee is archived. So when a trainee is archived, they can't log into the system, so their course invitations don't work. So I might be misunderstanding the question, but as soon as you archive someone, that effectively cuts off their ability to log into the system, so there's no way that they can get into a course that's been, once they've been archived. Same goes for an archived course. I mean, if you archive a course that you've invited people to, that link will just tell them that the course is no longer available. So in no cases will they be able to actually get into a course. Obviously, those invitations were sent via email, so there's no way to make those emails disappear if you archive them after the fact, but that's a function of email, not of how Mindflash works. But we definitely account for that scenario and have made it so that it's as reasonable to deal with them as possible. Are there plans to start selling content rather than just the framework? Standard topics such as electrical safety, arc flash, fall protection would be useful to many users. This is something that we've looked at. We've actually done a bunch of polls with our customers whether or not they do this, and it has not been a hugely requested feature for us. Again, it's something that we may look at in the future, but at this point there are no immediate plans to add that. So one question, just all of this recording, we will send the recording after the fact, so if you want to refer back to a specific question or the details of what we went through previously, you can certainly do that and just fast forward to it. We just send a YouTube link, so it will be available later this afternoon. Are you able to restrict certain courses to a particular manager or trainee for a limited group? So at the moment, it is not possible to restrict content to individuals. So if Randir is one of my trainers and I only want Randir to be able to see the courses that are available for him to work on, that is not something that we currently do. It is something that's on our roadmap. I don't have a release date at this point, but it is something that we have been doing a lot of research on and have been actively pursuing. So if that tells you anything, take that for what it is. But something we're definitely thinking about. Will I be able to see changes while on a trial? Yeah, absolutely. So this update will be pushed to everyone, whether they're a customer or a trialist. So as of tomorrow afternoon, you will be on the new Mindflash Enterprise experience, and you will be getting all of that goodness. Is there a way in a series to be able to have one of the courses be marked as NA? There's not in a specific series, so I guess in that scenario, like someone would be able to skip a course or something like that. So I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but just some background on how a series works. First is you could remove a course from a series. So if it's no longer relevant for whatever reason, you can just drop that course from a series and it wouldn't be available to anyone as part of that series anymore. The other thing that I might recommend is courses can be part of multiple series. So in a scenario where you're like doing employee training and you've got courses for the marketing department and courses for the sales department, they may overlap in some of the courses they need to take, but maybe they have specific courses for the department. In that scenario, I would have two different series. And you can use the same course in multiple series. So maybe the first three courses are the same, and then they have one course that's specific to their department. I would create a series for the marketing department and a series for the sales department, and then just make that one course different at the end of each of the series. And that way you're using the same courses over. You could report across departments in those courses, and then for the specific content to them, they could just take that one course that's different. So that's probably how I would tackle that. Okay. Okay, well, I think that takes us to the end of the questions that we've got here. I appreciate everyone sticking around and asking questions. We actually have a lot of people who are still sticking around. Thanks for everyone who attended this and also who registered. This is by far our most popular webinar ever, and rightly so. There's a lot of good stuff coming. We're excited about it. Just a quick recap, if you guys want to tackle your draft courses between now and tomorrow, that will make everyone's life easier and certainly yours. So just move them into, or drop your trainees and move them into an active status, and that will, everything will be good. We will be releasing tomorrow afternoon. All of these changes will be pushed to everyone. We will have additional information available in the Help Center. All documentation will flip over tomorrow afternoon. Please bear with us while we do that. It's a laborious process that we will get through, but we will do that tomorrow afternoon. If you do have any immediate questions or issues that arise, certainly feel free to reach out to us. We will be around and on deck and available at all times to talk through any of that.
You will receive an email with a link to this webinar, but we'll also be doing a live webinar again on Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. We'll include a link in the email to that webinar in case you or any of your colleagues want to attend that once the change goes live tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and thanks again for joining. We're really excited about this, and we're looking forward to your feedback, and whether it's positive or negative, we're always looking for that and looking to move forward on new stuff. So thanks again for joining, and we will talk to some of you again, I guess, on Thursday. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next webinar. Take it easy.